War doesn't whisper anymore, it watches. A voiceover cuts through the sterile hum of fluorescent lights inside FOB Sentinel Ridge, where tension hums like current before a breach. On the wall, a digital map glows with red casualty dots, dozens of soldiers lost in 6 weeks, all to precision sniper fire along MSR-17. Major Nathan Cole stands before the map, jaw tight, a man who's carried too many names home in silence. "These aren't ambushes," he says. "They're executions." At the back of the room, Staff Sergeant Aria Locke sits motionless. 31, mid-height. Chestnut hair pulled tight, eyes dark, calm, unreadable. She looks ordinary, the kind of person who could vanish into a crowd except for the gravity that follows her like a shadow. Cole taps the next slide. 5 distinctly female silhouettes in tactical gear movements, crisp, deliberate. They call themselves Viper Cell. 5 women, highly trained, no known unit tag. They hunt together, move clean, vanish without trace. Captain Jonah Pike leans forward, skeptical. 5 female shooters did all this. CWO2 Mira Santoro, the intel officer, doesn't glance up from her tablet. They're not locals. Signatures match foreign-trained precision shooters, competition marksmen turned contractors. Whoever trained them to think like us. Cole nods grimly. Standard counter-sniper teams failed. They read our grid searches, predict our rotations, and strike the second we blink. We need someone who doesn't think by the book. The room stills. Every gaze turns to Locke. Cole's tone drops. You've faced operators like this before. You know how they move. Locke studies the map, her voice low and controlled. They're disciplined, but discipline breeds rhythm. Rhythm breeds pattern, and patterns, she glances up, can be broken. Pike crosses his arms. So what's your play? Sergeant? Her reply slices through the air. I don't chase ghosts. I wait where ghosts appear. Cole closes the folder. You'll have 72 hours. No backup, no air support. You move when you say move. Locke rises, snaps her datapad shut. Eyes locked on the northern ridgeline glowing red, the sector where so many had fallen. That's where I'll start. The projector flickers once. The room holds its breath as her footsteps fade down the corridor. And for a moment, no one in that room is certain who's hunting whom. She left the briefing with the map burned into the back of her mind. Outside FOB Sentinel Ridge. The world smelled of diesel and dust, but inside Staff Sergeant Aria Locke, everything was wind calls, firing angles, and habit. She didn't move like someone heading into battle. She moved like someone assembling a puzzle built out of ghosts. In her quarters, the ritual began. She laid each piece on the table, the M2010 ESR resting in its foam cradle, the MK12 Mod 1 beside it, magazines aligned with surgical precision. Next came optics Schmidt Bender PM II, lenses wiped spotless, the Kestrel 5700 Elite pulsing faint light across ballistic tables, the Vectronix PLRF15C humming quietly with range codes. Every click, every calibration, was muscle memory but not routine. This wasn't about confidence, it was about control. T-minus 30 hours. On her desk, a new transmission blinked through. CWO2 Mira Santoro's voice cracked softly over the comms. Cell movement confirmed. Same fire pattern. MSR-17. North Spur likely overwatch zone. Aria replied without hesitation. Copy that. I'll go dark from here. Then silence. She left before dawn. Her MATV cutting through the narrow road toward the northern spur. The desert unfolded in amber light. Ridge after ridge curling into natural kill zones. Rocks forming sightlines too perfect to be chance. She studied every contour through the windshield, each bend, each hollow, memorized like a rhythm. By midnight, She reached high ground. Wind steady 2 knots west. Temperature 18 degrees C. Density altitude 3,200 feet. Numbers, not feelings. Equations, not fear. Hour 40. Through the Schmidt and Bender. She mapped every likely hide a mid-shelf decoy perch. An overwatch past 1,000. The math of murder was clean. The human part never was. Her field notebook became a log of micro-patterns, a farmer's lantern sweeping every 42 minutes. A convoy that always slowed at the same curve. A trail of goats that spooked the same way. Every time. That was the language she understood: movement, timing, stillness. When dawn broke, she saw them. 2 figures on a mid-shelf, 800 meters out. Too confident, too clean. Decoys. But beyond them, at the edge of her scope, a shimmer in the heat. The faintest glint of glass. Overwatch. Her breath steadied. Her finger never moved. The board had opened. The hunt had begun. The first 3 seconds snap like a bolt closing. In the mountains, silence kills faster than bullets. At first light. The ridge slept under a pale fog that turned every rock into a threat. Staff Sergeant Aria Locke lay prone in her hide, heartbeat sinking with the wind brushing dry grass. Nearly 40 hours of stillness had stripped the world down to one truth: motion meant death. Through her Schmidt and Bender PM II, the terrain unfolded like a chessboard, precise, mathematical, merciless. 2 silhouettes appeared at mid-shelf range, 800 meters out. They moved with confidence, too confident, too deliberate. Decoys. Real shooters never choose open ground unless they want to be seen. Locke widened her field of view, scanning the opposite ridge. Nothing at first, then. The faintest shimmer. A shift in the mirage. A flash that didn't belong. Overwatch! The true killers were higher, over 1,000 meters angled, not at the convoy below, but at the would-be rescuers who'd respond. Classic Viper cell doctrine: bait the counter-sniper. Kill the savior. She whispered under her breath. Not this time. Wind 2.1 meters per second cross, temperature 19 degrees, density altitude 3,200 feet. She dialed 6.3 mils elevation. 0.4 right wind. The M2010 ESR settled into her shoulder like an extension of bone. 1 breath in, 1 out. Hold. The trigger broke clean. The ridge cracked once sharp. Surgical. Through the scope. The Overwatch shooter's body snapped back, a fine mist blooming into dawn. Before the echo faded, Locke cycled the bolt, realigned, exhaled second shot. The spotter dropped beside her partner. Motionless. 2 down, she whispered. 3 to go. Her suppressor hissed faintly, heat rising off the barrel. No flash, no reflection. She'd shot from deep shadow. Muzzle angled low. Her scope wrapped in mesh, invisible to counterglass. Below, the decoys panicked, breaking formation, sprinting east toward the ravine. Encrypted chatter spiked across the band, clipped, frantic, fragmented. Locke didn't chase. Hunters who chase get hunted. She tracked through the lens, calm as erosion, marking terrain every turn, every echo, every shadow. They were heading toward Fork Canyon Junction, the perfect place to think they were safe. By the time the sun touched the Daria Spur, Locke was already on the move, low, silent, ghost-like. The ridge no longer felt like terrain. It felt alive on her side. Somewhere ahead, 2 Vipers would regroup, believing they'd escaped the storm. They didn't know the storm was already inside the canyon and her rifle was the eye. The first 3 seconds pulled tight like a trigger spring. The most dangerous sound on a battlefield isn't gunfire, it's nothing. By dusk, Fork Canyon breathed heat and dust, the kind that clung to skin and memory. Staff Sergeant Aria Locke lay camouflaged beneath a mesh of scrub and sand. Her body molded to the earth, her mind sharp despite past 50 hours awake. Ahead, the canyon narrowed into a single choke point, a place where escape and death shared the same trail. Through her Schmidt Bender PM II, she watched dying light ripple over stone. Range 400 meters, wind near perfect. This wasn't patience, this was ammunition. Movement flickered. 2 silhouettes, Shade and Falcon. The last of the decoys crept through the canyon shadows. Disciplined and silent. Rifles up, corners cleared. Every gesture screamed experience and predictability. Locke slowed her breathing, tracking their pace, spacing, and rhythm through the reticle. The trigger pull came at the end of an exhale, short, surgical, final. The rifle cracked once. Shade folded instantly, dust flaring under the impact. Falcon dove behind a boulder, rolling smooth, scanning for muzzle flash professional. Calm. Textbook. But Locke didn't move. Stillness was dominance. Through the mirage, she saw Falcon's barrel sweep left, right, left, mechanical. Rehearsed. Fear creates rhythm, and rhythm betrays. Minutes bled into 12. The canyon's silence pressed down, dense as stone. Then, Falcon broke cover, sprinting toward the eastern exit. Low. Fast. The way soldiers run when they still believe in luck. Locke's crosshairs waited at the choke when the silhouette entered the funnel. She pressed. One shot, one stumble, one heartbeat of silence. Then stillness. 4 down, 1 remains. Heat shimmered off rock as the scent of gunpowder faded. The canyon returned to its eerie calm. But Locke knew she wasn't alone. Somewhere above same terrain, same patience, Zara Viper Kovac was watching, calculating, mirroring her every move. The leader's presence was like static on the wind, silent, charged, inevitable. Locke whispered to herself, "Your move, Viper." The light died over Daria Spur. The desert cooled, and the silence between 2 hunters began to hum, the kind that doesn't last long, because it always ends with someone breaking it first. The first 3 seconds hit like a heartbeat in the dark. When 2 hunters share the same silence, only one walks away. Night swallowed the North Daria Spur, painting the world in bands of blue and black. The wind had died. No insects, no engines. Only the faint hum of the muted PRC-163 set to send an encrypted burst every 12 hours, proof of life. Nothing more. Staff Sergeant Aria Locke lay prone in the dust. Invisible. Steady. The hunt had reached its final phase, no teams, no backups, just 2 snipers tied together by nerve and instinct. Somewhere ahead, Zara Viper Kovac was still alive. 4 of her shooters gone in less than 2 days. Pride had kept her here. Pride always does. It sharpens aim, but dulls judgment. Through thermal optics, Locke scanned the slope. At 700 meters, a faint heat bloom trembled behind rock, motionless. Patient. Calculating. There you are. Viper was doing exactly what Locke would have done flank. Relocate, rebuild Overwatch, wait for a mistake. It was discipline meeting its own reflection. Locke stayed still, heart rate dropping to 38 beats per minute. Time slid. Temperature fell. The desert forgot to breathe. She could have fired then, half certainty, Half guess, but snipers don't gamble. They choreograph inevitability. Minutes stretched thin. Then Viper committed barrel rising. Slow, deliberate, toward Locke's old position. A faint blink from her optic betrayed the angle. Locke adjusted 685 meters. No wind. Temperature stable. 1 inhalation. 1 exhale. Crosshair. Heartbeat. Trigger. The shot cracked like a verdict. Through the scope. Viper collapsed forward. The rifle slid from her grasp. Her heat signature faded to 0. 5 for 5. Mission complete. Cole VO. Confirm status. Santoro VO. Encrypted burst received. Target eliminated. Exfil authorized only after mission confirmation. 40 minutes later. The UH-60M Black Hawk lifted her from the ridge. Rotor wash turning dust into ash-colored halos. Back at Fob Sentinel Ridge, pad lights burned pale white. Locke stepped down, rifle case in hand, eyes tracing the horizon where night bled into dawn. Cole Radio VO. 72 hours. You make it sound easy. Area quiet. It's never easy. It's just quiet. Cole VO. What keeps you steady out there? Area VO. The truth perfection isn't glory, it's survival. The rotors thundered again, lifting her silhouette into the light. 2 weeks later, another map, another mission, another hunt. She didn't hesitate. Patterns return. She breaks them. In the hangar, soldiers stepped aside, not out of rank. But reverence, someone whispered. That's Locke, the one who hunts the hunters. The voice faded into rotor thunder. Because on every battlefield, there's a moment when patience outlasts fear, and in that moment, victory belongs not to the loud, but to the still. Before we move to the ridge, sound off in the comments. Where are you watching from? Soldier. And if you live for stories that breathe dust, silence, and steel, hit subscribe and stay sharp.